Okay guys, so in this tutorial we're going to go over rhythms and time signatures. So briefly, first of all, just to revise note names and values from last week's class. First of all, a reminder, music is written on the stave. The stave is 5 parallel lines. We can place notes on these lines or in between these lines. If we place them in between the lines, the notes are called spaces, or they're placed on spaces. If the note is on a line, i.e. the line travels through the note head, we say that that is on a line. That note is on a line. We also looked at the treble clef. The clef is one of several clefs that we have to place at the start of a piece of music. The treble clef is otherwise known as the G clef. Do practice drawing it. We did some of this in last week's class. And a treble clef, or any clef, kind of indicates what instruments can play the piece of music you're about to play, what range of notes are available to you. For example, a double bass could not play this piece of music if it was in treble clef. There is a tutorial there on how to draw a treble clef, but I'm going to skip on for this one now. It's in the first tutorial here about note names, so you can have a look at it there if you like. And again, a quick revision. The type of notes we've looked at so far, we've looked at the semi-breve or whole note, lasts for 4 beats. Semi-breve rest, which is silence for 4 beats. A minim or half note, it means the note must last for 2 beats or half of a bar, assuming we're in 4/4 time. And then there's a minim rest. Just do note the minim rest and the semi-breve rest are quite similar. The semi-breve rest hangs from the 4th line. The minim rest sits on the 3rd line. When we count the numbers, the line numbers from the bottom up. And a minim rest indicates 2 beats of silence. Then a very common note, a crotchet. Looks like a minim, it's coloured in. When we see a crotchet, we say ta. And there's a crotchet rest. Every note has an equivalent rest. A crotchet rest means silence for 1 beat. And when we see one of these, we want to clap the rhythm, we say shh. And very briefly, just to clap some of these rhythms we did last week's class. The first one here, so I count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta, shh, shh. Second exercise here, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, shh, ta, shh. Finally, the last type of note we looked at is the quaver, otherwise known as an 8th note, as it takes up an 1/8 of a full bar in 4/4 time. It lasts for half a beat. We don't see this written on its own all that often. We normally see it in groups of 2 or 4. So for example, here are 8 quavers grouped in 2 groups of 4. The line that joins the quavers together is called a beam. And let's quickly have a look at 2 rhythms here involving crotchets and quavers. When we see quavers, we say T. And again, we normally see 2 or 4 quavers together. So the first rhythm on the left-hand side, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti. And then the second rhythm on the right-hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta, ti, 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 ti. And then we play it again, rhythm bingo, and do practice these rhythms here. They're very, very helpful. That's all revision from the first class. Now, we are now looking at time signatures. A time signature tells us 2 things. It tells us how many beats there are in a bar, and the bottom number, that's the top number, the bottom number tells us what type of beats they are. So for example, if we look at the first one here, okay, so we've got a treble clef, and immediately to the right of it we have 2 numbers, one on top of another. The top number takes up the first 2 spaces of the stave, and the bottom number takes up the bottom 2 spaces of the stave. The number on the top is a 2, tells us there are 2 beats in a bar. The number on the bottom tells us what type of beats they are in a bar. So if you think of it as a moment for as a fraction, even though it's not a fraction, the number on the bottom there is a 4. And as I'm sure you know, a fraction with a 4 on the bottom is a quarter. So essentially this means there are 2 quarter notes per bar. Think back, what other note is called a quarter note? That's a crotchet. So 2/4 time means there are 2 crotchet beats per bar. 4/4 time means there are 4 crotchet beats per bar. 3/4 time means there are 3 crotchet beats per bar. Important notes about writing time signatures. The time signature is written to the right of the clef. The top note takes up the top 2 spaces. The bottom note takes up the bottom 2 spaces. Do not put a line in between the top and the bottom number, as a time signature is not a fraction, even though there is some mathematical element to it. And as an exercise, we've done this in class, write out a treble clef followed by each of the 3 time signatures, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. In class, we did this page here, this exercise. Looking at the bottom 3 rhythms there, we had to put in the bar line, but before we did this, we needed to have a look at a dotted note. So dotted notes. A dot to the right of a note extends the note by half of the note's value. So for example, a minim lasts for 2 beats. A dot after the minim adds on half of this value, which is 1. So therefore, a dotted minim lasts 3 beats. A dotted crotchet will last for 1.5 beats, because a crotchet lasts for 1 beat. The dot adds on half of that value, so that's a half. So put it together, you get 1.5 beats. So we're going to look at the bottom 3 rhythms on this page here. You say ta-yi when you see a dotted crotchet. So for example, the first rhythm here in 4/4 on the bottom, I'm looking at the 4th rhythm down from the top. We have ta-yi, that's a dotted crotchet, ti for a quaver, and then 2 crotchets. And I'm going to stop there. So that will be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta-yi, ti, ta, ta. It's the first half of that bar. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta-yi, ti, ta, ta. And I'll just do the whole of that first line, the 4/4 example there. So this is this example here, the third up from the bottom, or 4th from the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, yi, ti, ta, ta, ti, 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 ta. Okay, and then your prep, and a good exercise to do is work through page 3 and 4 from the handouts I've given you. So page 3 is entitled Pick a Bar, and page 4 is entitled Puzzles. I'm going to put that as an attachment up on the Google Drive now, and good luck everybody. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.